Nigeria is a nation hugely endowed with an abundance of raw materials and a population of energetic, creative, and dynamic youths. Sadly, this has not triggered the emergence of an industrialized economy more than 6 decades after independence. The country boasts of several research institutions and schemes, but they are at the moment mere repositories of research findings and exhibitors of prototypes remotely relevant to the technological needs of the country. Considering that industrialization is what will move Nigeria up the ladder of the economic food chain, developing a critical research and development strategy for economic development has become imperative. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund is a strong pillar for research development, having recently allocated 12 billion naira for 12 public universities and another 12 billion naira for polytechnics and colleges of education to undertake research that would contribute to national growth. The TETFund Centers of Excellence are to support strategic research for potential industrial applications through innovation. They will bring together the complementary resources needed for technical advancement in order to further the development of products, processes, and services. These terms of reference will make tertiary educational institutions more responsive to industry need, in addition to expertise development and training at doctorate level in areas of industry interest and the development of knowledge management platforms and innovation hubs. These are the chronicles of the journey to institutionalize research and development in Nigeria. Hello, and welcome to this edition of TETFund, The Paradigm Shift. I am Stanley Bentu. Higher learning institutions serve the industry in 2 ways. Well, first, they provide the workforce necessary to run the industry. And second, they furnish the industry with innovative ideas to start new business ventures. But this apparently simplistic relationship does not work so simplistically because of the inherent differences between the two. Universities, for instance, desire to contribute to the theory. On the other hand, the industry is restrained by profitability and practicality. Therefore, academia and the industry are kind of like 2 sides of a river that must flow independently. As far as science and engineering disciplines are concerned, creating linkages between the 2 sides of the river has the potential to contribute to the betterment of both the industry and the universities. In the developed world, this synergy has been perfected to a T. But in the developing world, on the other hand, it has admittedly been a struggle, and the outcome is no surprise.
Why did industrial development in Africa become so difficult? Why did Europe and North America develop faster and rule the world?
I don't think there's a single answer, but the one that I think is the most important factor is it's the politics. You know, to misquote Bill Clinton, it's the politics, stupid. And that goes back to the colonial project, the way Africa's societies, between 6,000 and 10,000 political units that existed pre-colonial times, were carved up by outsiders, simply drawing lines on maps and, between Germany, France, Britain, saying, right, that bit's your bit, that's bit, we'll put the line there, often dividing whole societies. And these states have got, Nigeria, for example, 400 languages, 400 separate languages and counting. I mean, that's what we're talking about. maybe as many or more centres of old political power. So it's the overlay of these new states on old societies. And states that had those societies had no part in their creation at all. They were just created and then handed over to them suddenly in the 1950s and 60s. You're independent now, off you go. And to think you can create a nation state like that was always madness. So it is the evolution of those societies that I think it'll take a lot of time. It'll take generations for those nation states to create the sort of feeling of citizenship that Americans have or British people have.
Olusegun Adeyeri and Kehinde David Adejuwon, in a paper published in 2012, titled The Implications of British Colonial Economic Policies on Nigeria's Development, argue that colonial rule was not a benevolent political system. A look at the balance sheet of colonial rule in Nigeria shows that it left more negative heritages than positive ones. It left behind a functional bureaucracy, a rudimentary educational system, albeit externally oriented. The British colonial agricultural and industrial policies in Nigeria have implications for the country's economic advancement. The colonial economic policies in Nigeria, for instance, discouraged indigenous industrialization but promoted export crop and mineral production to feed the British factories. The colonial territory of Nigeria served not only as ready source of cheap raw materials to feed the growing industries in Britain and European states, but also as a trading post for the British and European traders and merchants, and at the same time supported the importation of end products because the British wanted an outlet for our own manufactured products in order to stave off declining domestic consumption and falling rate of profit at home. The paper argues that the current state of development crisis in Nigeria can be traced to the antecedents of pre-independence economic policy at the root of Nigeria's current economic crisis. President of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Engineer Mansour Ahmed, shares this view and explains further.
As manufacturing nations, the pure reason, if you go as far back as you can, is colonialism. The fact that when the colonial masters were in charge, they had no interest in building manufacturing capacity. Their interest is to take the raw materials, whether they are in terms of agricultural produce or minerals, take them out and do the manufacturing there, because that is their interest. Manufacturing is a key to every development of every nation, because manufacturing is what creates value or what adds value. And so throughout the period of colonialism, none of the African countries under colonial rule was able to develop any significant manufacturing capacity.
Yet, so many African countries, Nigeria inclusive, seem to pride themselves in the amount of raw materials they have. So much so that the government in these countries have consistently set themselves up to operate solely based on revenue sourced from the sales of these raw materials. And if Nigeria is so rich in raw materials, why are its people so poor?
And the basic reason, of course, is that human beings today, and perhaps for the last century or so, consume manufactured goods, not raw materials. We use manufactured goods. Most of these goods we use, most of the services we consume come from some manufacturing process or some industrial process. We take cocoa and we convert it through through a manufacturing process into chocolate, and we consume chocolate. But we don't eat cocoa. We take cotton and we convert it into textiles and wear them in clothes, but we don't wear cotton. You understand what I mean? So, and these products, manufactured products, are of greater value than the raw materials from which they come. So for instance, chocolate is much, much more valuable than raw cocoa. So the person who produces chocolate, although he produces it from cocoa, makes sometimes perhaps 20 times, 100 times more value than the person who grows the cocoa.
In the early 60s, Nigeria did begin to develop some industrial capabilities, especially in the textile sector. Had we kept faith with these efforts and continued to invest in research and development to improve them, our economic fortunes would have yielded massive dividends by today. But something happened to change all that.
Probably from around the 70s, as far as Nigeria is concerned, one other thing happened. We discovered oil in large quantities. And then our governments perhaps made the biggest mistake we could ever make. We forgot that the money we are getting from oil, right, when we produce crude oil and export it and sell it, the money we are getting, the value we are getting is not value that we created here. We used it now to buy all the things that we require for our lifestyle. And we began then to even perhaps destroy the manufacturing capacity we had started to build before oil. We had enough money from oil to buy all the manufactured goods we wanted. And so Nigeria, and again, this happened to many other sub-Saharan countries, again fell back on dependency in imported manufactured goods.
Perhaps nowhere is this more exemplified than in the petroleum sector itself. Nigeria does not have the technology to mine its own oil, so foreign companies have to provide this technology at a price. Nigeria needs to share its profits with international oil companies in the upstream subsector. However, the opportunity that was still available for Nigeria to make further profits from the downstream sector, the sale of processed petroleum products like petrol, diesel, kerosene, and jet fuel. Unfortunately, a lack of investment to maintain our refining capacities means we offer even more profits to foreign companies through the importation of refined petroleum products, of which we've become an insatiable market.
Because we did not have the technology, we did not have the skills, we did not have the competences required to take our raw materials and process them into the manufactured goods that we consume. Again, we became totally dependent, and our economy therefore could not grow. And the manufacturing sector itself could not grow.
Nigeria must invest in science and technology because science creates wealth. Using its untapped natural wealth, human resources, and effective policy execution, we can create explosive wealth that bypasses Western-led globalization and creates national and continental technology hubs.
Well, even today, after so many years, you hear people ask this one question. Why is Africa falling behind the rest of the world's economies? Well, the secret that lies behind the science and prosperity of nations is simple but profound. Ideas matter. This is the most important secret of the wealth of the industrialized world. And the constant pursuit of economic and military advantage and superiority which scientific intervention and technology confer is an essential component of a worldview that changes the realities on the ground. So TETFund is doing very important work for the Nigerian economy because it's functioning in the tertiary education subsector, the bedrock for ideas, science, and technology. Now, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the industry conducts around 2/3 of R&D in science and technology. The remaining 20% of R&D work is carried out by universities, while 10% is carried out by the government. The world's top-ranking universities attract industry funding for their projects and innovations. The pharmaceutical industry is one of the most prominent investors in universities. The IT industry is also starting to invest in academics because it has concluded that it is beneficial to spend on students and the academia. And with this statistical data, it can be concluded that collaboration between the industry and academia is on the rise. Let's learn more about this.
It is very clear to see the fine line that connects industry and manufacturing to education. No economic revolution can be achieved unless the thinkers of a society are well equipped with the resources for problem solving. The problems to be solved in industry are complex and are tied to deeply intellectual products and services.
For modern manufacturing, you need power, a power source, right? Industrialization started with the discovery of steam power, which enables you to do things that you could not possibly do by hand, right? We moved from steam power to, fuel power, to coal, to then to electricity, right? And today you need massive amount of electricity in order to establish and run a modest manufacturing facility. Now, these are called infrastructure, right? Because basic infrastructure energy.
What is happening is that there are R&D energy institutions at the moment, many of them. There's the Energy Commission of Nigeria, there's the Nigeria Atomic Energy Commission, there's the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, and so on and so forth. But what is happening is that the outputs, they are doing good works. The outputs are not taken up for mainstreaming into the economy. So that's why it looks as if they are not effective. They are doing good works. But that triple helix aspect from the research institution into industry, the missing link is missing, which is why we think TETFund's intervention is going to work, because there will be deliberate effort to get the products of these research institutions to be absorbed into the economy through industrial production.
But you also need to have an environment in which you can do these things. So you need to build factories. You need to provide, perhaps those factories, you need to be able to deliver goods into them for the processing and take out the products out of them. So you need transport. You need to be able to transport these things in large quantities. Again, transport is infrastructure. So to put it briefly, we need to develop sufficient infrastructure of all types, of power, like energy infrastructure, transport infrastructure, etc., to be able to do this. And you need to build the knowledge base to be able to do it, and you need to build the management capacity. And all this, you need money to invest.
This is where TETFund comes in to provide intervention support that helps to boost the quality of tertiary education infrastructure to the point that research and development can be used to solve the nation's socio-economic challenges.
Our educational system, our universities have grown, but particularly when we're talking about research and development, which provides the knowledge and base of the sciences and techniques that you require to have an effective manufacturing system, is weak. So we need to strengthen the knowledge base through expanding the capacity of our universities to do research work, to do development work, and to create solutions for existing problems and indeed to anticipate new problems and provide solutions for them. That is all part of R&D work, which in other regimes, they have high capacity.
What are the practical ways that research and development can aid Nigeria's technological and industrial needs?
If you go to countries where they have done a lot of R&D, where they have developed capacity and knowledge base, you can find that they may be doing 3 times that. They may be producing 12 tons per hectare. Take, for instance, milk production. Again, because to produce yogurt, for instance, or to produce cheese, right? You need to start from the milk you get from the cow, to process it through a manufacturing process and to convert it into yogurt or cheese. In other regimes, for instance, if you go to Holland or Denmark, the average cow is probably able to produce 50 to 80 liters of milk per day. Our cows here probably cannot do more than 10, if up to. And so it means that the productivity of our agriculture to start with is low. So R&D helps to find ways in which you can improve the productivity of these assets.
The triple helix model is TETFund's strategy for ensuring that tertiary education plays a critical role in Nigeria's industrial revolution.
You therefore need academia in whatever developmental process you want to execute. Third is that, of course, you need the people who actually will invest their money, who will undertake the processes, who will then manage, who will invest, create, and manage the manufacturing processes and the establishments. And that's the private sector, or if you like, the business sector. So for an effective development of manufacturing sector and manufacturing capacity, you need all these 3: government, academia, and business sector. This is what is called triple helix, which means basically the development stands on 3 legs.
They will be able to do a lot. One way to go about it is to be able to conduct a kind of an assessment, which we did through TETFund. We assessed the situation in Nigeria, and we have seen that we have a lot of potentials. It is not too late. We have the institutions, we have people we can leverage on who are contributing to advanced economies. I think what we need to do is to enhance what we have in Nigeria already. We have so many universities, that is a good advantage. All we need is to be able to now see how we can now develop linkages with people in diaspora so that they can come back to Nigeria, give back to Nigeria, be able to train people, be able to collaborate on research and development. I think it's not too late. Nigeria has the potential. We have world-renowned academics that can, within 5 years, if given the opportunity, Nigeria can begin to turn out a lot of products from research and development.
TETFund has taken steps to strengthen its partnership with industries as regards research and development. The fund has already confirmed the approval for the setting up of a secretariat domiciled with the Nigerian Economic Summit Group to enhance the country's drive towards a knowledge-based economy. The move is part of the synergy building efforts by the National Universities Commission, NUC, and TETFund under its policy of the triple helix approach to research anchored on government, the academia, and industry partnership. The partnership will ensure that institutions become more relevant to the society, to national development aspiration, to the needs of industry, to solving problems, and improving the lifestyles and standards of living of the people.
So, there it is. Collaborations between tertiary institutions and industry have given life to many blockbuster discoveries over the years. University-industry collaboration requires careful management and can bring many benefits. These include a two-way workflow of ideas. Results can flow out of industry, and they can also be inbound to fuel research questions. Today, the custodian of that relationship is TETFund, which is using all of its tools and concepts, including curriculum review, to ensure that this relationship remains mutually beneficial. And that is the paradigm shift. Join us again on the next edition of the program. But until then, thank you for stopping by. Good night.